Hello juniors and welcome back to programming. For this video we'll be going over project 3 and what you'll actually be doing to complete the project. So in the project 3 module we have the project 3 video, the activity prompt submission page, and then these two extra links. The extra links are to the extra material that we'll be covering that you need to understand for this actual project, but I'll be going through this in the video. Again, here's the submission page, and on the submission page you have the activity prompt, and this is the actual project that we'll be doing, project 3 quiz. So what we'll be doing is we'll be combining all of the knowledge that we've used in our last projects and adding in the conditional statements that we just learned about to make a stronger program, something that can do more than just accept survey responses. So let's remind ourselves of the programming process. There's the objective, the pseudocode, and then the code. The objective is a sentence summary and a to-do list that outlines the whole project. The pseudocode is a more in-depth to-do list that's structured like a program. These two things we'll be giving you, and with this you'll make the code, which is the actual code of the program so that the program works. Now remember, these are all the pieces of the projects in our class. We have the objective, which is down below, the need to know, your tasks, and pseudocode. If you read these sections, it'll make a lot of sense. So for our project 3, we'll be making a quiz. So for the objective of this program is to quiz the user on basic high school trivia. So there's all these tasks that we need to complete on this page. So first you need to ask the user each of the following questions. You're going to ask them this, providing them with the different choices, and then the user should input a letter for each question. So either A, B, or C. Then you're going to check the user's answer. If the user's answer is correct, you're going to print out correct. Else it should print incorrect, because and then insert the correct answer. Additionally, the program should track how many questions the user got correct, and at the end, give them a score of 4 and give them a percentage of how well they did. So 3 out of 4 would be a 75%, 2 out of 4 would be a 50%, etc., etc. So to do this project, you need to understand logical operators and conditional statements, which are units that we covered, as well as you'll need to understand these dot upper and dot lower. So let's go into Python and actually talk about what dot upper is and what how to use it. So I've got a practice module set up here in my quiz project folder, and all I'm gonna make a variable called Michael. And you see this variable, it's all randomly placed. So there's a capital M, there's a capital C, there's a capital A, and a capital L, but the rest is lowercase. Now when you're working with this, if you're trying to compare this, remember, let's make a variable and let's make it Michael. If I compare X to I'm going to choose a different, we'll go with A, just so that it's a little sooner. If I compare X to A, this is going to come out as false, because we remember, false. Because we remember that capital matters. So these two things this doesn't come out as equal because they're not the same. The capitalization is not the same. So when we're getting input from the user, we use this thing called dot upper because it helps with these comparisons. It allows all of the text within X to be put as uppercase. So now let's print out Y and let's print out X, and you'll get to see the difference. So if we run this, drop down, run as, Python run, and now you'll see that before, the first one is just X by itself, and then the second one is Y, and y is in all capital case because we use this dot upper. And that's really all there is to this dot upper. The same thing with dot lower. If I do z equals x dot lower, and then we print z, run. Now we have lowercase Michael. So these are really simple, but they're powerful tools because now we don't have to guess what the user inputted. We can just turn all of it to lowercase or uppercase. So let's go through an example of how we would do that. If we have this variable x and we say input, and we're just going to say question. Now, when we get that input back, it's going to be stored in x, remember? So input prints out this question and then stores whatever you get back from the user in x. So then let's make this into a lowercase, or then let's compare this to see if they got the right answer. So if we say if, and let's make an answer variable, and we'll just say the answer is a. If x dot upper equals a, then print you got it right! Exclamation point. Now, how this is going to work is the program's going to run, it'll stop, it'll print out and ask the question. If I input a, capital or lowercase, it'll change it to uppercase, and it'll actually compare correctly because it'll change my lowercase a into a capital A with the dot upper, and then capital A compared to capital A is true, so then this gets printed out. Now if we do this again and we enter a different letter, lowercase b, nothing will happen because I didn't enter the right letter. The only thing to pay attention to is when you're working with this, just remember whether you're using dot upper or dot lower, because that changes what you're going to compare it to. If we do x dot lower, we're going to have to do a lowercase letter because we're turning this into a lowercase letter. So then just make sure that you have the lowercase version of it, and then print you got it right. And now it's just going to print the same thing twice if I put the a, because it changes it to uppercase, and then that equals the correct thing. Uppercase x is a, and then lowercase x is also lowercase a. So that's why you got two of the same print statements. This is kind of a reminder from our conditional statements that since these are two separate if statements, they can both happen, so both of them can print out. Whereas if this was an elif, only one of these would happen, either this one or this one. But either way, that's a tangent. Just realize that all dot upper and dot lower do is capitalize some string or lowercase some string. So it changes any string into the capital version of it or the lowercase version of it. And the way you'll be using this is in your project, you'll be getting these answers from the user, and you don't know whether they're going to submit a capital case or a lowercase or something else. So you have to be prepared for that and change it so that you can compare it correctly. So you'll have something that looks like this in your code. So now let's talk about your task. Your task is to code the project using the objective and pseudocode that we're giving you. You must put a starting multi-line comment, that's this comment up here, that tells you what the program does, basically our objective, and who the author is, which should be you. To complete the process, you'll follow this simple step. You're going to make a PyDev project, make a module, both of them named quiz. You're going to write the starting comment, copy and paste the pseudocode, which is down here, into the module, code the project, run the project and check for bugs. An easy way to check for bugs is the red error lines that pop up under your code. That normally tells you that your project is doing something it's not supposed to. and then submit the project on GitHub following the instructions in the GitHub submission process. You will be graded 1 point for having the started comment, 1 point for each quiz question, so there's 4 questions, 4 points total, 1 point for the project being able to run, and 1 point for the project being submitted on GitHub properly. So here's the pseudocode right here. You can just copy and paste this into an actual module. So you can go C, and it should all paste, as a comment. And then you'll have a bunch of comments, and you can go down and finish it. So you're just going to start with the first one and do what it says, just like the drills. Make a variable called score to keep track of the correct answers and set it to 0. So then you're making a variable called score and setting it to 0. And then you just repeat the process for all of these instructions. And at the end, you should end up with the final. So you're going to use all of the knowledge that we've worked up to so far. So everything from project 2, project 1, all the units we've covered, plus this new dot upper and dot lower you're going to be using in this project. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to your instructor or go to these websites or review any of the previous units that you've looked at. If you're struggling with a certain piece of the code, it should give you some sort of clue of what unit to look at so you can go back and check and remember, how do I do that? How do I write a conditional statement? And you can look back at your drills to get a reminder. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your instructor, but otherwise, I will see you later.